Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Jay Cohn. President Trump doing an about-face on remarks he made yesterday following his big summit with Vladimir Putin.
His comments about Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election appear to side with Putin's denial and fly in the face of assessments from 17 U.S. intelligence agencies.
But today, the president makes a stunning reversal.
Molo Lengi has more from the White House.
But I would like to clarify.
President Trump says he misspoke Monday when he said this about Russian meddling into the 2016 presidential election.
President Putin, he just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be.
Tuesday afternoon, amid an avalanche of criticism, the president claimed he meant the opposite.
In a key sentence in my remarks, I said the word would instead of wouldn't. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't, or why it wouldn't be Russia.
Mr. Trump also said he agrees with U.S. intelligence assessments that the Russians did indeed interfere with the U.S. electoral process.
I accept our intelligence community's conclusion that Russia's meddling in the 2016 election took place. Could be other people also.
President Trump's remarks in Helsinki ignited a firestorm from coast to coast, some going so far as to label them treasonous. Now his attempt to do damage control is getting mixed reviews.
I don't accept the president's comments today. If he wanted to make those comments, he should have had the strength to make them in front of Vladimir Putin.
I wish he would have said initially. I'm just glad he clarified it. I can't read his intentions or what he meant to say at the time.
The president once again denied that his campaign had helped the Russians in their efforts to disrupt the 2016 election. He said his administration is taking steps to prevent interference in the November midterm elections. Molo Lengi, CBS News, the White House.
The president will discuss the summit fallout with CBS News anchor Jeff Glor tomorrow night on the CBS Evening News.
Just 1 week after President Trump announced the pick for Supreme Court candidate, GOP senators are lining up to meet Brett Kavanaugh. Montana Senator Steve Daines, one of them.
During today's meeting, the two discussed Kavanaugh's qualifications, but Daines says he's afraid the judge is not being given a fair chance. In his statement following the meeting, Daines says, quote, I'm confident that Judge Kavanaugh will serve well on our nation's highest court and hope he'll receive a fair confirmation hearing. Senator Daines says he discussed the nominee on Air Force One with President Trump while they traveled to Montana earlier this month.
Daines also joined President Trump at the White House for Kavanaugh's nomination announcement on July 9th.
Thanks to a bipartisan vote in the U.S. House today, 20 miles of Montana's East Rosebud Creek are now a step closer to federal protection.
The bill would designate a portion of East Rosebud Creek in the Custer National Forest as a wild and scenic river. Montana Congressman Greg Gianforte introduced the bill in the House. If it's signed by the president, East Rosebud Creek would become the first Montana waterway to receive the wild and scenic classification since 1976.
Supporters of the bill say it proves the bipartisan nature of protecting healthy rivers. Now, a similar bill backed by both Montana Senators Jon Tester and Steve Daines passed the U.S. Senate last December.
On the weather scene, it was a busy night in parts of Montana. Bob is here now with a look at what happened. Bob.
And part of it's still going on in parts of extreme eastern Montana. Let me show it to you on the Doppler radar. You can see over there in Treasure County, it's been raining, just pouring all evening there, and it's not moving very fast. These are very slow-moving lumbering type storms. That's why we've had a lot of heavy rainfall. Now, the good news here, you'll notice that area in green, that was a flash flood watch. It has now been canceled, so not updated. So that means things are starting to shape up a little bit better there. But here's what happened. As you can see, Rocky Boy had quite a bit of rain, about 3/4 of an inch of rain there. Nyhard had some pretty good size hail, almost inch in diameter hail. Nye had 1/4 inch diameter hail. And over there at places like Lightning Flat, they had a lot of flooding in that area. Also, a lot of winds in the southeastern corner of the state, wound up with 60-mile-per-hour winds. It's been a very busy night there. Still not quite over with yet. But as this storm moves out of the way, we are getting ready for a prolonged warming trend. We'll chat about that in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Bob. After last year's disastrous fire season, many of us are just waiting for that first ember. So far, Montana has avoided the catalysts that could quickly spark wildfires, but we are certainly not immune. MTN meteorologist Russ Thomas reports.
The story of our Montana wildfire season through Monday afternoon was so far so good. Hot and dry weather in recent weeks has left us on the brink of a wildfire outbreak, and lightning last night and today across parts of the state could be the beginning of a change.
The overall fire potential is increasing. We've had 2 to 3 weeks of dry weather now with no rainfall, basically from the Continental Divide westward, and we are getting a little bit of lightning.
Areas that are now of particular concern are those that have been hit the hardest with lightning over the last 24 hours, including a stretch between Great Falls and Helena and continuing from Helena to Bozeman. Another spot to watch is southwest Montana into Idaho as winds increase on Tuesday and Wednesday, spreading potential lightning-induced fire starts. Richmond says coming weeks in the near future are promising, but can't promise anything beyond that.
I'm not expecting to see any real lightning potential after today for at least a week, if not longer, maybe a couple of weeks. It is possible we could have widespread lightning outbreaks and more ignitions in August at any time.
Even eastern Montana, where rain has been more plentiful, has reason for concern as growth quickly dries.
The accumulation of grasses that will be drying and curing as in the next few weeks will be very heavy, and that can create very intense fire behavior.
Now, it is possible we could skate by this fire season without a peak if lightning stays away, like it did in the very dry summer of 2013. Even then, humans will play a large role in determining what kind of fire season we ultimately have.
People have to be very careful, in the woods with campfires and power equipment, lawn mowing, all those activities.
So as we wait for Mother Nature to take her course over the next few weeks, we can at least be thankful that we haven't experienced the fast and furious start that we saw in 2017. And we can hope that any thunderstorms we do see will also provide us soaking rain, minimizing the concern that lightning brings. In Missoula, Russ Thomas, MTN News.
Thanks, Russ. Now, Richmond says smoke from fires in southwest Oregon and northern California will grow thicker in coming days.
New Billings School Superintendent Greg Upham has been on the job now for about a week. He took his seat at Monday night's school board meeting for the first time as District 2 Superintendent. Upham's career in education dates back 31 years. He comes to Billings from the Helena School District, where he served as the Assistant Superintendent. He replaces Terry Bauk, who retired last month after 6 years in Billings. Upham says the appetite for improvement from everyone here, from the board to the teachers to the community, is really what drew him to Billings. Among his top priorities now, a heavy focus on student achievement.
Improve the college readiness, and also on the CTE side, the career readiness, and those are two areas that I'm very passionate about. The other part is working with the mental health, with students that are experiencing troubles, and working at a state level with that. I'd mentioned that in my interview. Our school counselors are just having extreme difficulty with the issues they're dealing with, and I think the state needs to be more informed, and we as educators need to help inform them so that we can work together and create a healthier child. I'm happy to be in Billings, and it's exciting, and I'm here with my lab, Bo, so Bo and I are doing Billings.
Greg says he and Bo are excited to be a part of the Billings community and to start this new chapter.
Billings is in need of a few good employees. In fact, businesses in Yellowstone County will be looking for thousands of employees to fill jobs within the year.
A new study out by the Billings Workforce Council shows that more than 2,000 workers will be needed here just to keep pace with the current rate of employment. And that same report shows as many as 64% of local businesses plan to add new employees within the next year.
But attracting talent to fill those openings involves much more than a decent salary.
They want experience, and they want a village. They want a community that they can be influential in, that they can shape to meet what they're looking for in a home. And that's a very different concept. We were so migratory, we'd move for jobs. Now we move for a place and then look for a job.
And you can read the entire report, including the survey, focus group reaction, and data research by going to the Billings Works website.
Still to come on tonight's 10 o'clock news. It's crystal clear that your game day prep is changing. In a moment, find out how.
Plus, animals around the world are trying to beat the heat. We'll find out how.
And later in sports, the Billings Mustangs mourning the loss of their most energetic fan. Scott shows us what made her so passionate.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Jeanelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.